So how do you prepare your gifts for Christmas? We're less than a week away from Christmas, and I've already said that, it's wrong. 8 sleeps, right? We have 8 sleeps left. So I'm pretty excited. I like Christmas. I like the trees. I like the decorations. I always have a crazy tree. I like gifts. I like giving gifts. I like receiving gifts. I'm not going to lie to you. I like them. All right? I like the music. I like the movies. Sometimes I start watching them about July. Whoa. I really like Christmas movies. You know, and they're like B movies. I mean, 99% of them are just really garbage. You know, they're just bad acting and, you know, stupid, sappy stories. I don't care. I like them. I watch them. We saw one yesterday. Mike, when we walked out, Mike said, well, that's 2 hours he's never going to get back. Yep. But he suffered through for me. And it really wasn't very good. But I got a lot of I likes in that first paragraph. What are some of your likes? What do you like about Christmas? Interactive, talk to me. You like the lights. The colors, the brightness.
People's spirit.
People's spirit. Huh?
Getting presents.
Getting presents.
I like everything. Gingerbread cookies.
Gingerbread cookies. Fudge. It's the only time every year I eat fudge. And I make really good fudge. And because I don't eat sugar and I don't really care for chocolate, I don't make it anymore. But I always think about it at Christmas.
Wow. You want me to make you some?
Nope. So most of my adult life, I put up my Christmas tree the day after Thanksgiving. That Friday morning. Usually I go do the Black Friday thing, come home, and man, that tree is up before I go to bed. All the decorations around. And not always. Everybody has different preparations, right? Everybody prepares differently. And I have some friends that they don't even get their Christmas tree up, hopefully before Christmas morning. And I have other friends that their tree is down the day after Christmas. And other ones, it might be April, May. And if it gets to, be too far, like past June, just leave it up till the next year. Blow the thing off with canned air, get the dust off of it, plug the lights back in. Woohoo! Decorated early this year. Unless you have anybody that comes more than once to your house. But anyway, in Germany, when we lived in Germany, one adult would stay home from church on Christmas Eve, and they put up the tree and decorated the house. Ooh. While everybody else went. No family, doing that. So everybody has traditions. What are yours? When do you put your tree up? Christmas Eve.
Anytime before Christmas.
Anytime you can. Okay. Well, and people who are busy in life, that really does boil down to it. Anytime you can. One time, I was a crazy woman when it came to Christmas. And some of you probably heard some of this. I have a lot of friends that still are crazy people. The friends and family that I have that have large families they usually are more organized. They have like one tradition a day. My daughter has one tradition per day. That way she never gets overwhelmed or whatever. Like the second Saturday of December, they go look at Christmas lights. And then they go to Baskin and Robbins and have ice cream. Every year, if it's pouring down rain, you'll look at Christmas lights in the rain. If there's snow, you'll look at Christmas lights in the snow. It's this Saturday, and they just stick to their tradition. That way, she never gets overwhelmed with all of the different things going on with all the different people, right? Did I ever tell you about my 14-year tree? Or 14-tree year? So I have this house, and I had 23 people for Christmas. I was a crazy woman back then, decorating. I had 23 people for Christmas for 5 days. So that will tell you one thing. I made crepes for breakfast, and biscuits and gravy and fried eggs, and meat, and all. 5 days. It was wonderful. But when I was putting up my trees, we lived out in the country, and I always cut a fresh tree every year. Every year I would go and cut my own tree. And so we were out, and I usually had one in the living room. Sometimes they had one in the bedroom, depending. And but this year, I did my 2 trees, and then I thought, you know what? I live out in the country. I'll just go dig up some live trees and put a tree in every room. So I did. Every room had its own theme. I mean, I even have a laundry room tree on my driveway. You know, every room had its own tree. Every room was decorated differently. Different lights in each room. Some rooms had certain color themes. One room was one of my stepkids loved teddy bears. His Christmas tree was an entire teddy bear tree. He was little, and that's what he wanted. So it was insane, absolutely insane. We had heads, right? So like an elk, a moose, a deer, and an antelope. They were all decorated. Some of them had bells, some of them had lights. They all had garland. I decorated everything. That was my last crazy year. I moved to moderation after that. It didn't make my Christmas better. So what are some of your preparation traditions? You make cookies. Do you wait till everything is such a tumble and so stressful and you feel like you have to get it done because that's something that you have to do for Christmas? Some of you do. What are the Christmas things that make you happy? Presents. An honest man. Eggnog. Oh, man, me too. You get more time with family.
Christmas ham.
Christmas. Jerry loves that Christmas
Yeah.
ham. He does.
Yeah.
Yeah. More time with family. One of the things I used to love about Christmas when my kids were home was we played games. We would start on Christmas Eve, and we played games until I had to go back to work or school. I mean, we kept board games up on the table, on a table, not the dining table, just continuously. You know, we'd have to stop and take a nap. We'd bring food with us, whatever. We played games for like 36 hours. It was wonderful. One of the things that happens is we have expectations of what we need to make us happy. The first year that I didn't make Christmas cookies, I was just almost depressed. And then I realized it wasn't the Christmas cookies that made me happy, it was being with my kids. And I just didn't have time. I was working on finals, I had a job, I was counseling people, and I just did not have time to make cookies that year. We never ate them anyway. None of us even like cookies much. You know, I'd rather have chips and dip. You know, you want to make my heart happy? Bring me a big bowl of crab dip and a bag of potato chips. I'm there for you. I can kill it off. But what I realized was I just didn't have time to make cookies. And it was like, oh, now my kids are going to be depressed. It's going to be this terrible thing. Because we have expectations of what things should look like, right? One of the things that happens is when you have these expectations and they're not met, you become disappointed. And that disappointment that causes Christmas to be a time of high stress for so many people. It's why there's so much suicide. It's why the police are called out more than ever in this season. One of the things is men like to shop on the last day or two, and they do it in a frenzy. A lot of men are this way. It wounds the women because they think differently. So they think that because they've done all this planning ahead and they've shopped, 4 months in advance, and they have all these little things hidden, they think it means they love the guy more. Doesn't mean that at all. My husband thinks about things. He's a much better shopper than I am. He gives me way better gifts than he gets. I'm overwhelmed every time. It doesn't matter if he buys them 5 minutes before he gives them to me or if he buys them 6 months before. He's thoughtful about what he does. And so because it's different in the way he does it and the way I do it, I wish I was more like him, but this is what women do. It's like, well, he waited till the last minute, so it doesn't count. Of course it counts. He went at the last minute. Mike's not a last minute shopper, so that's good. Women are critical and ungrateful.
Sure.
They are. They miss that whole scripture about receiving with gladness. They think about their disappointments and their emotion, and they ruin Christmas for everyone around them. I have a girlfriend, and She wanted this wool coat for Christmas. And, you know, she showed her husband a picture. She told him exactly what she wanted. She told him exactly the size, the color, everything. She brought him the website. This is what I want for Christmas. This coat was over $1,000. When she got it, she didn't like the quality. So when she opened it up, she goes, oh, this is just garbage. We'll have to send it back. You know, there was nothing. Why should he extend himself to make a purchase for anything? Why would he even think something up? And when she told me that, she said, oh, I'm sending it back. Just try. I said, after the fit you threw, after the demands you have, after the hateful way you acted about this, and then you made him feel like even that wasn't good enough? She said, well, it wasn't. Coach Jimmy. I said, you're poor, my husband. So I'm going to turn that around and reverse it, okay? My son's love language is giving, but he also needs to receive. Because he's such a giver, because he gives so much, when people overlook him or discount him or his wife, his feelings are hurt. How about you? If you can't give, you get depressed. What about if you don't receive? What triggers cause you to be depressed at Christmas? Some of you aren't looking at me. I was up here. We're having a moment. Some people are just crazy in traditions, right? And it causes them to get depressed if they need their transition or traditions married. Some people feel if they can't do what it looks like everyone else around them is doing, it causes them to be depressed. Some people feel like they don't have enough money, or they're not giving enough, or they're not a good enough parent. They go through all these horrible things. But then there's people who go completely to the other side. I've done it. I had years of no trees and no decorations. No presents, basically. I was totally religious. I got some scripture taught to me about hanging balls of gold and silver on a tree, and only the pagans do that. And it's like, oh, not me! I'm never going to, And so I became totally religious, went completely to the other side. And so I'd spent all these crazy holidays where I was nuts trying to get everything done, and finishing in the wee hours of the morning. If I finished it all, if I wasn't up all night putting Christmas things together on Christmas Eve, right? I didn't have any joy. It was just another chore to get through. I was worn out. I was tired. Everything was overwhelming to me. I didn't really care about it. I was irritable. I was frustrated. I was angry. I was resentful. I was disappointed at all the unmet expectations. I got sick every single Christmas. And all I could think of was, Merry doggone Christmas. I'll be glad when it's over. What does this have to do with the love of Christ? I sat myself down with God. And I said, show me what's wrong with me. I am ungrateful, and I am hateful, and I'm angry, and I'm mad. And at the time I had strep throat, so I was sick too. What is wrong with me, God? I mean, I'd opened every door to vision to find out. Of course I'm going to get sick. And one of the things the Lord showed me was that I allowed myself to be under cultural pressures, Christmas cultural pressures. What does the perfect Christmas look like to you? What does it look like to you? Mike and I are going out for Christmas dinner. The first time I've ever gone out for Christmas dinner and not cooked. I'm so excited I can finally stand it. Another tradition of spending the day slaving in the kitchen, sweating, that is going by the wayside. Hallelujah. Oh. And we have so much fun.
Here we go.
That's right. Just fire to go. Here we come. That's right. They got the pig roasting for us right now. Huh? No tissue paper in the floor this year. Last year, it was so fun because Wanda was coming for dinner. And of course, as soon as the presents were opened, I went to get a cup of coffee. Fell, broke my knee. So I spent the day with my knee up in the air while Mike did everything. He cooked the dinner. He did all of that. And I decided, really, I didn't have to cook the meal. The dinner was great. I will tell you. My husband made mean little What other expectations do you have that when they're not met, you're disappointed and you feel it? Families fighting. Families fighting. I used to have a song. I played it every year. It started about December 1st, and it was Santa, please don't let Daddy get drunk this Christmas. My husband stayed drunk through the entire holidays.
That wasn't me.
No. Definitely not. But he had spent many nights not coming home, not showing up, coming in so drunk he couldn't even get the car in the driveway. You know, I sat around holding my breath the whole time. He never could go out for Christmas lights or do any of that because he wouldn't show up. It was a horrible, horrible holiday. So here's a tradition for you. What's the number one Christmas song? I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. It was sung by Bing Crosby, written by Irving Berlin. It's the best-selling Christmas song of all times. It has made the Guinness World Book of Records for over 50 million sales. Irving Berlin was a Russian immigrant to New York. Then when he slowed down in his life, he moved to Palm Springs. Bing Crosby came from the Spokane, Washington area in the mountains up there. Went to school at Catholic College there in Spokane. And as he became more and more famous, he also bought a mid-century house in Palm Springs. They both lived up on the plateaus. And in fact, Bing Crosby's house was pretty nice. And so they're sitting there, both of them having come from snow in the winter, looking at these palm trees saying, yeah, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. This doesn't even seem like Christmas. You know, I miss snow. And if you ever go to Palm Springs for Christmas, they have fake snow machines people do in their yards so that they feel the holiday, right? They turn the air conditioners down really low so they're nice and cold. You know, that kind of thing. So, but let's really think about this movie and this song, right? This movie, White Christmas, is about hundreds of men leaving their families for Christmas and coming up to Vermont so they can honor this general. You think the kids thought that was a perfect Christmas? You think their wives thought that was a great Christmas when they left their family so they could put on their uniform when they were in the war so they could go up and honor this man Christmas Eve? So we've glorified what that represents. For years, I wished, hoped, dreamed, prayed for whatever else I needed to do for a white Christmas. And then we got one. Was it everything I needed to make me happy? Yeah, no. What happened? I mean, absolutely not. Traffic was jammed. People were in accidents. The electricity went out. People couldn't cook their dinners. We had to get a bulldozer to get us up and down the mountain where we lived. No, there was nothing wonderful about it. So, if you guys want a white Christmas, you got to go through the blood and become cleansed and white. I mean, you know, hey, you're not going to hear. Hallelujah. So, all of these things make me think about God. All the preparations that we do for Christmas. Think about the preparations that He did when He formed the earth. Think about the preparations that He did for your life. So many things that we have to delight in. So let's talk about the preparation of the Messiah. Last week, we talked about how long it took Mary to get to Bethlehem. I mean, goodness sakes. Wasn't that long? I mean, that was kind of eye-opening. I found a list of 353 biblical prophecies about Jesus coming, and then New Testament scripture proof of when they happened. 353 just for the birth. You know what's going on in the rest of life now? I mean, if there's 353 just for His birth, how many prophecies have been made about you, Jerome, before you were ever even thought about it?
Wow. That's awesome.
Libby? How many things did God think, plan, prepare, and do just specifically for you? He said she's going to have slightly olive skin. She's going to be raised in Malaysia. She's going to be Malaysian she's dad. She's going to have long hair. She's going to be a little tiny. She's going to have freckles. A certain amount. He knows exactly how many. Right? All of these things were gifts to us. All of these preparation things were gifts for us. But do we recognize the gift, or do we only recognize gifts that are monetary or make us look good to other people? What is it? So let's talk about the preparation for Jesus' birth. If we prepare for Christmas like we do, and we find it so rewarding and so fulfilling, don't you think God finds it fulfilling? I mean, he's not the ogre up there.
Hallelujah.
He's not. He's up there. You know, how much delight. Wanda, do you take in Mia? I know that you love Mia. You talk about her a lot. You talk about what she's like she is to your heart. You talk about how cute she is. You talk about all these wonderful things about her. And how much you love her. Think about what God feels about you. Jesus was born in Bethlehem. The Old Testament foretells the Messiah being born in Bethlehem, Ephraim. I forgot how you say it now. And I told you about it last week. It's in Micah 5:2. There's more than one Bethlehem. God is very specific in what he does. Are you specific in what you do, or are you sloppy with your words? Do you imply things to people that you're never planning on following through with? Are you sloppy with your actions where people think they can depend upon you and you let them down over and over and over? Are you intentional about your words? Are you intentional about your actions? Are you intentional about who you are, or are you sloppy in that? I'm using sloppy because it doesn't hurt as much. You get distracted with the direction God's taking you. One of the things we always used to talk about, I have this gal that used to work with me, and she had ADD or ADHD, I can't remember which one it was. Anyway, she'd be just talking away, and her eyes would catch something else, and she would change to whatever topic it was as she looked over there. I mean, in the mid-sentence. And so we had a joke, and I've done it to probably a lot of you. So when somebody has trouble keeping their focus, I always go, glitter. You know, because that's what I mean, seriously, you could be having a conversation, and I could be sitting here saying, well, my pink iPad case, look at that blue t-shirt over there. Wasn't that, you see what I'm saying? It just was, What if God had gotten distracted and Jesus never came? We'd be in a mess. Some of us are in a mess, and he did come. The story of Jesus' birth in Bethlehem is told in the New Testament books of Matthew 1 and 2 and Luke 2. And you can find them there. Number 2, he was born of a virgin. Isaiah 7:14 tells us that. See, these are things we know. Not all the world knows these things. Right? He was born of a virgin. Isaiah 7:14 says, therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will be with child and give birth to a son and call him Emmanuel. What if Mary had gotten distracted? Angel comes, made you pregnant. Okay. What if she got distracted? Forgot to tell Joseph what was going on? What if she got distracted and ran away from her family because she knew they were going to be ostracized because of what she'd done? What if she got distracted and left Jesus in the manger and forgot to take him with her? Did you get distracted? The New Testament book of Matthew repeats the prophecy in a passage detailing Joseph's encounter with an angel of the Lord who tells Joseph that Mary's child was conceived in the Holy Spirit and will save them from sin. It's in Matthew 1:18-25. Number 3, he's going to be from the line of Abraham. A prophecy of the Messiah being a descendant of Abraham was told in Genesis 22:18. This is in Genesis, people. This is in the beginning. Jesus didn't tell Abraham that and then get distracted and forget to bring Jesus. Or get distracted or forget that is what he said with his word, so that his word was no good. And he brought Jesus through somebody else's line. It wouldn't have been Jesus. Because he said he's going to come from Abraham. You can't get distracted. When you give your word about something, you do it. When you speak life into something, you don't go take it away. We've talked about an intercession. You bring intercession and then you go glitter. And it's like aborting your prayer. You do not pray it to fruition. Because you are, yes. You have expectations and then they're not met and you're disappointed in the Lord. And He didn't answer your prayers and He didn't do this and He didn't do that. Really? Were you so distracted? Was your glitter focused in so many places that you missed your answer? In Genesis 22:18 and Matthew 1:16 and 17. Not only are the prophecies gifts to us from God to confirm who He is and who Jesus is, they're gifts of love. He has wrapped these giftings up to us in His love and presented them to us. The obedience of the different ones from the past are gifts to us. What if Abraham hadn't been obedient? You didn't have to be. You don't have to be obedient. You can justify it all. Right? I've told you before, I can justify murder. I'm not angry like I was when I was a heathen. Boy, I could have killed anyone at the time and justified doing it. I'm glad I got with you.
I'm glad I know you now.
Amen. I'm glad you know me now too. Nobody needed to know me then. What if Jacob got lazy after that his father-in-law tricked him with Leah? What if he said, "Oh man, Rachel's too much work. I'm not going for that. Never mind, I'm going home." How many of you have been told to do something by the Lord and you've gotten home? And you didn't finish? I know none of y'all aren't talking too much and you're not looking at it. It's supposed to be interactive. Happy Hallelujah Christmas sermon. And what I'm getting is a lot of
We're convicted.
I was too. What if Rahab? Now here's a prostitute, right? What if she decided, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to go hang that ribbon. If I had those men, somebody might kill me. I'm not doing it. What if she changed her mind after giving her word? How many times do you give your word to someone and you change your mind and decide, and you just hope they don't pay attention to it? Okay. Number 4, he's going to be a descendant of Jacob. That's in Numbers 24:17. A star will come out of Jacob. A scepter will rise out of Israel. The genealogy is laid out in the book of Matthew, chapter 1. And it details his lineage from Isaac and Jacob. Number 5 is going to be called out of Egypt. Christians believe the Old Testament foretells Jesus being called out of Egypt. It's in Hosea 11:1. When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called him son. Matthew 2:13 confirmed. An angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up! Take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child and kill him." Joseph and Mary's obedience, waking up, getting up, and going to Egypt is a gift to you. When the Lord speaks to you in a dream or a vision, or even just a feeling that it's something God's telling you, do you hesitate? Or do you get up and go? You talk to 14 people to see if they can confirm and if they make you feel really good about what you heard. What? Yeah, throw out a fleece, wait for it to rain or not, bring it out, do it again because it wasn't enough. You wait, you pray, you get a different idea. If Mary and Joseph would have waited and prayed, Jesus would have been killed with all the little kids. The angel said, wake up, go to Egypt. Not wake up, and then next week, when you get done thinking about it, talking about it, checking with your friends, calling your family, making notes, and getting prayer, then go to Egypt. Right? When God speaks to you in a dream or a vision, this is a gift. Open the gift. Open the gift. My parents sacrificed to buy my grandmother good gifts. And I was at her house, which said that King Herod sought to kill Jesus. When Herod realized he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious. He gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem. It does not matter what you think when God gives you a word. When God speaks to you, when he gives you a vision, when he gives you a dream. It doesn't matter what you think. God is big enough to make it come to pass if you will. If you will. Herod was a gift to us. Think about it. His jealousy and his fear of not being in total control protected Jesus from being culturally contaminated. How about you? You have the opportunity to remove yourself from the familiar, protect yourself and your family from cultural contamination or not. Are you going to compromise? To be popular and accepted, or are you going to walk with what God called you to? When I first got saved, my culture was bar owners. I owned a bar. The only people I hung out with were bar hoppers and bar owners. I removed myself from that culture and those friends and put myself in a different culture with different friends so that I could become of the culture of Christ. Oh, I don't want to leave my friends. They're really good to me. Really? A man will be known by his companions. How many people do you know that stumble because of companions? When I was a teenager, I was a mess. You just need to know that. I was always a mess, even when I was little. And I had a friend, and apparently she was a Christian. I did not know this, but apparently she was. But I taught her how to drink, smoke, and take speed, among other things. There's 3 easy ones. I saw her after I was saved about 10 years. I was like, oh, hi, how are you? We've been really good friends, even past high school. She was an alcoholic, and she looked at me and such vile and hatred. She said, I was a Christian until I met you, and you totally ruined my life. Oh, man, I was so depressed. Look what I did to this poor person. And I stopped and I said, wait a minute, if you were a Christian, what are you doing hanging out with me? Evil companions will corrupt you. If your friends are still doing things that you can't do anymore, you shouldn't be doing anymore, you don't want to be doing anymore, find new friends. Oh, but I want to be loyal to them. I want to be the one that brings them in. Great. As soon as your walk is steadfast, go for it. But in the meantime, get yourself culturally removed so that you don't get contaminated. Don't compromise to be popular or accepted. You can walk in God's will or not. You can also be so religious in what you're doing that you run people off. Yeah, you can cause people to despise Christ because of your hatefulness and your rule making and your regulations and your finger shaking and your judgment and your criticism. Herod was a gift to us. His mean nature gave us perfect examples of what not to do. Think about it. So many times this is just as important, if not more important, than the example of what to do. In Luke 2, we talked about the birth of Jesus. When God speaks to us, is it just as if we were being told? When God speaks to us, it is just as if we were being told. Just like the angels. They came and told of his great birth, right? The shepherds left their flocks. I don't know if you know this, but that's their livelihood. That would be like Jesus speaking to you, an angel comes, and you quit your job to run to town. How many of you know that your boss is not going to be sitting there going, oh, great, yeah. Wish you would have called me. I would have gone too. Yeah, no. They were out there to protect the sheep. Have you met Christ and left the things that are yours? Because really they're not. It's all about the gifts. Obedience is our love gift. Everyone wants to receive gifts. Some of us like to plan, some of us like to shop, some of us like to buy, some of us just like to sit home and receive. All these different things that caused us to be created in the image of God. Genesis 1, it says, then God said, let us make man in our image according to our likeness. They'll rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the livestock, all the earth, the creatures that crawl on the earth. So God created man in his own image, and he created him in the image of God, and he created them male and female. And God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. Rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and every creature that crawls on the earth. God also said, look, I've given you every seed-bearing plant on the surface of the entire earth, and every tree whose fruit contains seed. This food will be for you, for all the wildlife of the earth, for every bird in the sky, for every creature that crawls on the earth, everything having the breath of life in it. I have given every green plant for food. And so it was. You hear all those gifts in there? And so it was. How many gifts are for us just in that passage? Do you read the word as a treasure chest filled with things just for you? Gifts for you. Gems and jewels and presents. Or just as words that rule with rules and regulations. Oh, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. When I was a kid, my relatives went to the Baptist church, and my great-grandmother told me, well, you can't play cards, you can't do this, you can't do that. You can't. I said, why would anybody want to go? If you are a small child in the South and you talk like that, you have now sassed your family, and you are in big trouble. But I never could figure out what the attraction was. There were so many rules, I couldn't even remember them all. And what was wrong with me sitting in the floor playing a game of solitaire? You know, cards were the hand of the devil. Okay. I mean, I was 5 years old. I just want to play solitaire. We are planned. Our destiny is planned. Which kind of makes you think of Jeremiah 29:11, doesn't it? For I know the thoughts I think toward you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. We are created in your image. A gift. No insecurity should manifest in our lives. We rule over fish of the sea. How can you be insecure when you can rule over the birds? You've all heard my goat story, where I told the goats to quit running and they froze. We've been given all these gifts. We rule over cattle. We rule over the earth. We rule over every creeping thing. Nothing should ever control us. No addiction, no shortcoming, no shame, no inferiority, no rejection, no fear of man. Nothing should rule us. We have been given gifts. We have gifts. We need to open them. If we have authority over every living thing, we have authority over every living thing. It's a gift. We're blessed. God talks to us. That's a gift. The creator of the universe wants to be your friend. That's a gift. I mean, don't you want to be able to say, hey, my BFF is the creator of the universe? Right? It's a fact. We fill the earth. We subdue the earth. We rule over the fish and the birds and everything that moves. We are given the seed-bearing plants. We are given everything for food. Wow! It's like a birthday party for Jesus. Getting saved gives us all of that and more. I was sitting in the mall in the Philippines one time looking at all these huge packages decorated. Mike and I were there last year. And they're beautiful, these big, huge packages, these great, gigantic trees. I mean, some of these packages were taller than me. They're just big, and it just made you wonder what was in them, and you knew darn well they were empty. Is that your walk? Is your walk just for looks? It's given to you. You got salvation. You got a walk. It was prepared for you. Are you colorful and empty? How many areas of your life do you walk in that are empty? How many things that you do that are just empty and they leave you feeling empty? Are you all show? How about when others want to partake of your gifts? Is there anything there? Is there any substance? Or is it like the gifts that are going to be under our tree? Every one will be specifically planned for the person or the dog receiving it. Bernie's hilarious. From his very first Christmas, he has known that if it's in a gift bag, and it rattles and somebody tosses it to you, there is something in there for me and I am ripping it open. Oh my. That dog will play with the package. I mean, he's so much fun to watch. We give it a little tear, throw it in the floor, squeak it once. Woohoo! Bernie has hit the jackpot. He will run that thing all over till he gets the toy out. Then he rips the cardboard off and he is off. And then when he finds out there's another one, here he comes. Everything's thought out, planned, shot for, paid for, and lovingly wrapped. I'm using lovingly loosely there because though I used to be a good rapper, occasionally now I'm not quite so much. When we're formed at the foundation of the earth, the same thing was done for us personally. Then the gift of gifts, salvation, was provided when Jesus came. We celebrate the birth of Christ as this huge gift, and then we forget about the rest of it in our lives. It's that gift that we go put in the cedar chest like my grandmother. Oh, look, I'm saved. I don't want to do anything to mess it up, so we'll just hide it over here, and I'll haul it out every year at Christmas and go, woohoo! Maybe even at Easter, who knows? Right? Notice when he came, he was a gift. He took off his deity. He put on humanity. Some people treat it like a big, fake, but colorful, enticing presence in your life. Pretty, but nothing special. In James 1:17, every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. I showed you that one passage in Genesis that we are given an abundance of gifts in the world. What are some of the others that you can name? What are some of the other gifts in the Word that you can name? I know you all know them, so speak them out. Interact. Come on. What's another gift in the Word that's there? What?
Love, hope, peace.
Love, hope, peace. Amen. What else? Joy.
Faithfulness.
Thankfulness. Patience.
Self-control.
Kindness. Self-control. She's like, kindness has to be in there. No, it is. Please let kindness be in there. Gentleness is in there. It's not really one of my favorites, but you know, because I'm so loud. What else? Righteousness. Salvation. What about 1 Corinthians 12? There's a whole list of known gifts in there. You get to the word of wisdom, knowledge, prophecy, healing, faith, miracles, tongues, interpretation of tongues, discernment of spirits. These are like the normal presents that you get, right? The ones that you look forward to, the ones you expect, pajamas, makeup, underwear. Those little small things that bring you comfort and knowing that you're loved. You know, my mom used to give us new jammies every year because they took pictures on Christmas morning when we were all in our jammies. Right. Romans 12, another list of gifts. We call them spiritual DNA here because that's the way that we operate. Helps, giving, prophecy, teaching, serving, exhortation, facilitation, mercy. How does all that relate to gifts exactly? We are created in the image of God, and that is not to mean we're exactly the same. We all have the same, we're all the same with different attributes. 2 eyes, 2 ears, skin, teeth, 1 mouth, 1 nose. We are each unique and yet alike. Not only a gift for the world, but He has filled us with gifts to present to each person that we need. We want our gifts to look like happy gifts. How many of you ever just decided you're going to wrap all your Christmas presents in black paper and put, dog poo on the top and some ribbons? I mean, no, we don't do this. We want them to look happy. We can present them in masks or in bags or wrap each one individually. Sometimes we tape the lid on so that it tapes longer and it's more of a challenge in opening. Sometimes God gives you a gift and the lid's taped on pretty darn good and you have a little trouble opening that gift, right? It's still worth it when you get it in there, isn't it? We can wrap it up and present totally different looking gifts. Add a bow. valuable. It does. You ever been to one of those Santa thingies where you trade gifts? You know, person goes, they get the biggest, prettiest wrap. I got a girlfriend that wraps presents. When she gets done, it looks like she paid someone. All the packages she's given to each person all match in just that paper, just those colors. All the ribbons match. It's all perfect. It looks great, you know. And I just told her, when I give her a gift, I'm putting it in a plastic sack and throwing it at her because I can never compete. You know, she could give me a candy bar. I mean, she could give me a nickel. And when she gets done wrapping it, I know it's going to be one of the most valuable gifts under the tree. I don't even want to open them. I take pictures of the packages she thinks. It's amazing. How we wrap our gifts tell a lot. I used to wrap really elaborately. People were hesitant to open because they were beautiful. I've made my own wrapping paper. I've hand-painted every package. I've made material, used material to wrap packages. Remember I told you I was a crazy woman for Christmas for a while?
Oh, it's a whole other level.
I made specific wrapping for every gift I bought one year. That's a whole nother level of crazy, you're right. I mean, can you see me sponging snow scenes on a piece of paper for a gift this big? I was there. One year I decided to have an old-fashioned Christmas, and I made material gift bags with matching ribbons for every single gift. That was the year I was really crazy and had 14 trees. Never happening again. What I realized was you couldn't recycle those because you never had the same size presents again. Right?
Thank you for freedom, Lord.
I wrap pretty decently, but knowing the eye of the person receiving, maybe light the package, makes me work a little bit harder at it. I don't cut as straight as I used to. I don't tape as well as I used to. I end up with wrinkles. I never used to have that. But I try to make it really pretty again, you know. Jesus wrapped our gift of salvation in love. What are your gifts that you give to other people wrapped in? Every gift is wrapped in something special. Dig in the Word. Find those gifts. Open them. Delight in them. Use them. Wrap up the gifts in you to give to others in lovely wrappings of love to enhance and delight their lives. It's a new way of looking at the Word, the Lord, and love. Merry Christmas. Amen. Glory to God. Bye, you guys. You want to see you already got to see everybody, right?
No, I want to see stuff.
Okay, come on. Here's Wanda with her new eye.